As you know, we are reading amazing words of the Buddha, which are not just poetic writings, which are realization of the enlightenment. Enlightened one speaks no ordinary things. Whenever Buddha says something, it has profound literal benefit and outer meaning, inner meaning, and many ultimate meanings. So one, depending to what level of consciousness we are operating, we are looking temporary benefit or long-term or some inner or whatever, we can all read into it differently. But there will be something for everyone, more so than their little mind sometimes can understand. But we listen again and again, we will find ourselves as someone who's fortunate to give the time to listen to what Buddha spoke with a great purpose, not only for the sake of the contemporary audience that he was addressing to, but for he spoke for the benefit of all sentient beings who have suffering that do not want to have, who wish to have happiness they seldom find, and they are all struggling not to know what to do, where to turn, and how to go about. Not every resolutions are actually beneficial, even if they seem okay on the surface, but anything that we pay heed to the Buddha and his teaching will always have something meaningful. Even on the temporarily we might not see what's the point of that for my life. I can't relate to it. This way we might think. But at some time down in our life, we will rejoice the fact that we heard that we read that, and then it just simply made some sense how to go about. So Dhammapada is the name, or Udanavarga. Both contents of the words are the words of the Buddha. Pada means meter. Dhamma means truth, so the metered words of truth. Every single meter, whether 7-syllable meter or 9-syllable meter or 11-syllable meter, so each of the syllables have something to tell us. So I certainly thrive by reading, preparing. My whole day is good. I read translators, even better. When I read with you, with your attention, it's even many times better. And we know there are lots of people who are able to listen and watch the YouTube later. Of course, I'm sure they also will benefit. Because how can you not benefit when you listen to the words or thoughts of the Buddha? People try to occupy their time, not knowing what to do, certain evening, feel like looking at the local magazines, the local daily, and see what is interesting days in town to go and do. We don't have to do that. We know exactly this is good. Sure, we have to do other things as well. There's no doubt, no reason we would miss them. But listening to the Buddha is indeed good. Just thinking about the Buddha is good. Just to walk all the way, to take a couple of steps towards the Buddha, to listen to the teaching, it already is amazing merit, they say. The merit causes and conditions we must have created somewhere. And to listen to these again and again, as really with a great deal of commitment, is very, very commendable. So now we will move into the text. We have finished up until 12th chapter. We finished the 12th chapter that was about path. We read last week about the path. I don't know what is not included in the path, but all the rest of the chapters are very much on the path. Anyway, so the 13th chapter is in relation to the title. It's called respect. Respect. Usually people enjoy respect when they receive it. And we also think it's good if somebody respects somebody. And And these things are really, really recommended in the worldly, every day today. If people are respectful for each other, it seems very good. And we even advise each other to respect our parents and respect other religion, respect other languages, respect other culture, and so on. And sure, there's a lot of there's a lot of socially correct benefit that there is. But Buddha had quite a totally different view on what respect constitutes. It's not that he's saying we shouldn't respect, but he says that be careful, be careful about respect. So, Trimo ranking algitan, dambunyingman drivutan, shushin drivu pungwata, posha kurti pungwargyu. He has a lot of understanding about many things. He said, like the womb of a female mule, like the bamboo and the plantain fruit, by which the roots are destroyed, respect will ruin the reckless. So what he's talking about is that I think this, if I'm not correct, I'm not wrong, they say that the female mule, when they become pregnant, then after giving birth to one mule, then her whole womb is destroyed. So I don't know whether that's correct or not. Giving birth to, conceiving one baby, she can't have baby again. So it's ruined. She loses her womb by conceiving one sort of fowl, or two, I don't know, maybe two. Two is probably not worth it. Two is probably worthless. Anyway, so one shouldn't think, I gave birth to a fowl, but you can't be proud of that. You can't anymore, because so like the bamboo and the plantain fruit, the bamboo, if you cut the bamboo once, that's it, so it is just the root itself destroys. Root itself wouldn't last long. They grow fast, but you can't keep growing the same again and again. So the bamboo may have been very tall, but that's about it. So like the bamboo and plantain fruit, by which the roots are destroyed. The very good the bamboo growth, that much just destroys the root. So what it's saying is, this is just analogy. These three are analogies. That people, respect will ruin the reckless. People who think that respect is something they are very highly deserving of the respect or name or fame, and then they don't know how to honor it carefully. Then like status or respect could ruin yourself, because you think that you are so worthy of people's respect or kindness to you, and then one doesn't know what that has to be earned, and that shouldn't be lost. But reckless people are destroyed by very respect and honor they have. So what does it say about? That's why they call in Buddhism, respect is one of the 8 worldly dharmas. You like people to respect you, but actually you get attached to it, then you can't stand anything but respect. Anybody say a little bit of disrespect, you can't stand it. But those who are not reckless, when people respect you, instead of being elated, instead of being puffed up by thinking I deserve this type of thing, people are so generous, very kind to me, but I really have a lot more faults than the quality they praise for me. Then the person is not so reckless. He's become very skillful. I really don't deserve this many praise. I have more faults. Please proclaim my faults to other people. That would be the person who is not reckless would do that. But reckless people, they can't stand any criticism. Because when they have respect, they like it. When people criticize, they can't stand. That is what it's talking about. How the respect will ruin the reckless person. It's not so much the fault of the respect, but that's what Buddha decided not to honor this thing called caste system. And he enjoyed quite high in the caste system. And he realized that that caste system was really just totally disrespected the equality of all human beings, and all gender or whatever it was. So he decided that there's no different treatment to each other because of their caste or their birth or their whatever their caste or lineage or whatever it was. Yeah. So it's more talking about if a person is reckless, then the respect will be very harmful because he doesn't deserve it. But the person who is very humble and careful, other people respect, he or she would be even more skillful. It's like shouldering a responsibility. His Eminence Choedak Rinpoche used to say that, when he became His Holiness Dalai Lama and His Holiness Sakya Tenzin's teacher, this the highest teacher became his disciples, and they all come and kneel before him, ask for these teachings, and then he's already very, 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 very devout practitioner, and then he's very old, and you can see he doesn't need to get up so early. He hardly goes to bed anyway. But he does get up so early and stay up very late. You can see that he needs some rest, and but he's not resting at all. And we say, Rinpoche, you should respect. You should rest and go to bed, and you should have finished the sadhana a long time ago. He says, don't say this. I have big responsibility. He shows his shoulder. He says, I have big responsibility. I have all this respect, being teacher of all teachers. But if I don't do my practices, how could I be worthy of it? And it's still very late. You miss a lot of meals and doesn't even know he's missing them. But he's. He does the practice many times. He knew he did it, but he still thinks he didn't do it. He's doing it again. So he's talking about the recklessness, how it will destroy one's benefit or respect. Foolish, second one. Chisi lumbo chejepa. Chisi lumbo chejepa. Yeah. When the foolish are revered, they see Rabdo Lakpar you, it will ruin them. Yeah, foolish are completely ruined as long as they receive respect. So foolish people will be ruined more by the respect and status they get. The wholesome part of the childish person become obscured. His crown of height also certainly declines. So this is talking about that a childish person who is reckless with the respect, who let his own respect that he receives to ruin himself, and then even the little small quality of wholesome quality that he has, they become wasted by his recklessness. Yeah. Even the qualities become destroyed by his recklessness, and therefore the crown of height also certainly declines, meaning the very height of the respect that people have, that respect will decline. Those who are skillful, their respect will slowly, like a small, but very small, but slowly people will increase their respect. Others who get respect very quickly, but just as quickly lost. That's what it's talking about, with the difference between reckless and the skillful one. So it's not talking about keeping an immaculate name and so forth. That either, feeling that one is immaculate from within oneself and then getting attached to it probably is ruining oneself quite a lot of time. But in the meantime, even from the external point of view, literal perception point of view, also if say your mother respect you, or so say your husband respect you, or so your child respect you more than before, or something like that. How do we make sure that their respect is not because you are mother, or just not because you're peer, not because you have authority over them, because they actually see something good that really you have earned it. And as a result of that respect they have will make them happy to have such a mother. Always happy that they have such a mother. They will never, or they have such a brother, or they have such a father, or they have such a husband, or they have such a understanding in-law, or whatever it is. Because not only they respect them, but not only we respect them, but we respect because we draw a lot of happiness from your reliable quality, reliable, consistent quality, and so they're really, really happy. So in that case, the respect that we earn are earned, not because we are seeking them, but they naturally see it, and that respect will not decline. That respect will not decline. Sometimes some setbacks or blunders or difficulties person may go down a bit, but in overall, people who really know you very well, they earn more respect to you. How you stood up, how you did not retaliate, did not turn to aggression, turn to negativities, and so on. So people will earn. So you will earn the respect. But the reason why people give us respect is they actually get a lot of happiness and their worthy qualities in the person. But those who don't, their quality will, respectability of themselves will be very short-lived, and soon it will be dropped, and it will be not it's irretrievable respect. Then the respect will be certainly degenerates. So this talking about the kind of a like a scale of going up and down. If somebody sort of if you goes down some personal setbacks go down, and people are watching you, how you will now respond to that. Everybody has karma. Some of them are karmic. It's not your immediate fault, it's just karma. You can't. But how did you actually cope with that? How you didn't lose yourself when you didn't go lower with those difficulties, but you actually reinvented yourself slowly? Then that kind of respect that people have will be really long-lasting. It wouldn't be come quickly and lose quickly. It will remain that way. So it's talking about the mutual benefit of the respecter and the respected. But those who are foolish, you respect them, they become more reckless, and then people wish they never respected you, and they will regret that they respected you, and they don't want to respect anyone like that, and then they have become very disheartened. So it's talking about the effect of the recklessness of not only to him or her, but also to those who did love or respect oneself. Gelong konen debatan, nela sena chebatan, rishinda ge chebatan. This is called a long verse. It's like 12 line verse. While person who wants money, a person who really have other intention and always want your money. So that's a greedy person who always try to solicit money from you. The monks who want followers. So that's another example. The monks, it says bhikkhus who want followers to say that he's good, or that he have a space for him, people in the heaven or something like that. If you monk who wants followers, and those whose only action is miserliness, their own action is only miserliness. You don't really hardly see them being generous. If they are respected by others, whether they're ordained or laity, those who trick me in this way, whether the act is done or not done, will attempt to overpower me. If the childish completely believes in it, greed will spread in his mind. Manner of getting rich differs by means of which nirvana may be gained. So what is this talking about is how a greedy person who wants your money, and the monks who want followers, and those people whose action, their own action is never generous but miserly, and if these three, my vile person, who is greedy, and the bhikkhu who is always wanting to have followers and retinues, and try to boost himself as special, and then make everybody acting as though he's very important and he's got a lot of respect in the community, who does that, and those people whose own action is never generous but miserly. And if these three kind of person are respected by others, whether they are ordained or lay person, they can trick you. These are the people who trick other people. Whether the monk who actually seeks followers is actually acting like a monk or not, maybe whether it's act is done or not, whether the greedy person does use the money for the set purposes or not, they will attempt to influence you, dominate you, influence you to become their followers, or to become whatever act they want you to support. If the childish completely believes in it, meaning ordinary people who believes in those who are into collecting, gathering retinues and make them little followers, greed will spread in his mind. The person, either of this person, his greed will increase. His contentment will be no sign of contentment, and so therefore the manner of getting riches differ. Meaning the person who is greedy doesn't have any end of saying contentment, any sign of contentment, no sign of any contentment, but always seeking, always wanting, and so the number, particularly number, as the followers or the money or whatever it is. So the lay person, whether they are lay person or as an ordained person, the respect that they may earn or gain in this conventional society, and the actual benefit, the nirvana that they seek to gain, will be very different. So one is only form. It looks like somebody is recruiting followers as to lead to nirvana, but actually there is no sign of getting nirvana. There's no sign of that. So in this way, what it's talking about is, in this way, knowing all such varieties, he who is not fond of respect, he's not into painting a good picture, how immaculate, how disciplined, how generous himself or herself is, who is not fond of respect, gradually resort to solitude. So it means gradually such persons would resort to solitude, means discipline and meditation and retreat, is the Buddha's disciple of a Shravaka. So here talking about, because in Buddhist community, being a monk is usually enough, If you don't have a monk, you have no one to respect everything, And quite a lot of community doesn't really survive very well if there is no monk, So it's the monkless Buddhist community is considered to be almost like leaderless. In particular in Theravada communities, it's like that, Theravada community, if there is not a monk, they just feel like they don't have a monk. What can we do? like the Chinese monastery that's up in Gangalan. Have you seen that? There's a monastery there. We went to there. There are two nuns. But they say, oh, we are nobody. We have no abbot. They say, we have no abbot. They say, we have no abbot. So if the abbot's not there, they can't do anything, So people, and actually most Buddhist teachings do say that the person who has vow, or who has vow like monk or nun, is more highly regarded, naturally considered to be respected by virtue of having one who is a robed person, you know. So it's talking about people being respecting or not respecting, showing respect or not respect. And maybe it's culturally people respect monk outwardly, but how useful is it to the monk? You know, does he feel he deserves it? Does he really feel he needs to be respected? You know, or does he really feel, you know, he has to really do a bit more to deserve the respect he's attracting? You see what I mean? So it places everybody in a very difficult situation. We used to have quite a lot of time, and people are monks and us, and some lay people are very Buddhist, because they've seen in Asia how people respect monks and nuns, and they offer some money, you know, not just to the teacher, visiting teacher, but also all the monks and nuns. And some of the monks and nuns, they don't want to accept the offering. They just don't know whether they should receive or not, because it places them in a very difficult situation. You know, particularly they're not used to be receiving charity like that, and so all of a sudden they don't know what to make of it. You know, so that's what they're talking about. You know. Whether the respect is earned, even if it is, even they understand culturally that's what you do, but where does that place? If the person is not reckless, it can ruin them. The reason for that is that people who respect, they have a saying among the Tibetan and Buddhist community, Southeast Asia. They said, if you're Tulku or Rinpoche, then you can come. They said, we will invite you. But if you haven't got any title, we do not know what to do with you. They say that. Because they have to promote you, say you're such and such, 5th such and such, 6th such and such, 19th such and such, you are this, you are that. And when you tell all of this, then people think, oh, you are such a worthy of respect because you have come back in the world 17 times. And kept the title going, or whatever. And people therefore respect to the title, or to the robe, or to the status, or to the family, or to the hereditary lineage in many cases. So while that is good in some culture, but actually the person himself receiving that may not feel really comfortable. Quite a lot of people really feel they wish they were just ordinary, you know. Even the present Karmapa said, you know, just recently, because he didn't get to come to India to attend his annual prayer festival. He's in America, and he sometimes felt like just become ordinary person. He said then it would be really easy to live, because otherwise because he's not just a monk, he's a Karmapa, not just a Karmapa, he's a 17 Karmapa. And so this huge expectation people have. And then he actually said, you know, he sometimes really wish he was not him. So respect is very difficult, you know, And some people also hold high offices. They actually feel relieved after they left the office, because then they really can actually be ordinary and they actually lead a normal life. Like Bill Hayden, who became a cattle farmer after being Governor General, because he didn't get to become Prime Minister. Huh? Even he did become Prime Minister, I'm sure he'll still become cattle farmer when he retires. It's amazing why people. Being a cattle farmer is very happy. Being a Governor General is difficult everywhere. So being respected may look very impressive, but you have no idea how uncomfortable that position is, particularly those people where everybody wants your autograph and Lord, that you just wish you can go somewhere nobody knows you. So that's what it's talking about, right? Not so much of the person's reckless, but it totally destroys your ego. Ego is pretty bad itself already. And in many things will prop you up and you think you're great. So that's what it's really talking about. Not seeking anything, not seeking to gain anything at all, not into tricking any person whose livelihood is not relying on others. He does not treat religion like trade. So this is talking about a person who is properly spiritually predisposed, and he's really not trying to gain anything materially materially, and not therefore into deceiving or misleading people, tricking people, and who is not making a living and profit out of other people for his or her own gain, and those who do not use religion as a commodity. This is talking about those who live without being reckless, without being reckless. Reckless. So this means if you turn over the exact other meaning of it, those who try to gain material benefit for themselves and trick other people in the name of religion, and try to make a profit for oneself from others, and then they treat that religion as a commodity, spirituality as a trade, and this is why a lot of traditional Buddhists find difficulty how to go about spreading Dharma in non-Buddhist countries, because we don't know how to start. If you give it free, people think you are trying to trick them. You try to trap them or something, But if you don't do it, how are you gonna spread the Dharma and so on? And so the Asian Buddhist, culturally they're very well brought up. You never need to ask people money. You never charge for anything. Everybody naturally brings from rice, vegetables, potatoes, whatever, to the temple, as well as money. As long as the word goes out, what the thing happens, it just happens, just almost like you never have to think of charging. You never think of getting money at the door from people. They never have to do that, no matter how poor the community is. It's amazing. So of course we live in a very different world, and that's why even then, it has to be properly done as whatever is proper in the land, and whatever it is, it has to be done. And so he's talking about people who are not individually have their mind on try to make a profit by trading spirituality for their own material gain, because if they do that, then the merit karma will be very heavy. People even think that charity given by people should be treated with great care, and should not be used mixed for one's own benefit. It should be entirely for the sake of the purpose and not for oneself. So that kind of mismanagement of that is considered to be kor, we call kor, like black money. They call it black money, using funds given for one reason, for another, for other less than important purposes of use. It becomes very heavy karma for the people. So it's mainly hinting that kind of thing, that kind of expression here, as far as I can tell. Number 6. Accept your own share of gains or income. Accept your own share of gain or income. But do not covet those of others. The monk who covets others' wealth will make no progress in his meditation. So it's talking about the respect, if you have your own share of income or gain, you accept that with humility, with gratitude. But do not covet others who are getting more or have more or appears to have more. Maybe they don't have more, but we think they have more. They appears to have drive a big car, but you have no idea they got a big debt. Or whatever. So the one who covets, the monk who covets others' wealth, of course, wouldn't be a really monk. One shouldn't covet anybody's wealth. One is supposed to be renounce everyone. One actually feels more empathy for those who are slave of wealth, slave of possessions, and instead of coveting them, one actually wishes them to be free of such attachment. Will make no progress in his meditation. So what he's talking about is, but externally as monk in robes, or one who has status, or one who has, in the monasteries they have a lot of hierarchy, hierarchy of the head lama gets 13 times more than anybody else, and the vice abbot gets maybe 6-7 times, and then the chant leader get double, and ordinary people get only one. Say if you go to give offering. So such cultures are still there in Tibetan Buddhism, and often not only that, the height of their throne, height of their seat, and a lot of them are really caught up in how high his throne should be, how many cushions he should have, because he is this Rinpoche, that abbot, this abbot. So there's a lot of Tibetan cultural, not etiquette, but problems. Problems just manifest a lot of the time when they're hosting a lot of people with very respectable titles. So it's good in the West. I like that whole idea. Everybody sits around, like United Nations, everybody sits in a circle. And whoever is chair, just sit in the chair, but maybe that's it. But otherwise, everybody sits in circle. I think that probably we should do that in the new temple. That everybody sits in a circle rather than having a throne. This is fairly modest throne, by the way. So, but you wouldn't believe some of the thrones we have in Tibetan monasteries. Oh, you wouldn't believe how much it costs, how ornate and how expensive it is.
See those ones where they're almost touching the ceiling.
That's right. And the Buddha is totally.
And they've got a little tulku up there, and he's like 2, and you just worry he's going to fall off. Like don't fall off.
Yeah. Not only that, elderly lamas, you can hardly get difficult to get him on top, and then coming down, it's a bit of a problem. He might fall. So we have to be very practical. I think Buddha never had such ornate thrones. He just sat under the tree, remember? And his monk's mat. He just brought his little mat. That's all there is. So I think some of the simplicity of Dharma has been hijacked by cultural Buddhism. All this royalty treatment, and that is this kind of spiritual materialism. Almost people feel, why there's so much wealth in the monasteries? You see so much gold, there's so much things. People just down the alley haven't got a decent toilet, and all the up there is so much ornate, very ostentatious things. That's not respect. That's spiritual materialism, really. Spiritual materialism should not be offering more to somebody 7 times more. It's not an important. Practicing wholeheartedly is probably more important. But of course, that's exactly. This is in between the lines. We can read these, some of the problems where people get caught into how much they deserve as a right of being whoever, desiring to live happily. So a true practitioner is live happily, not materialistically rich and opulent and comfortable, luxurious, then think it's happy. It's simply simple but functional. If the mendicant is keen to look into this, should accept Dharma robes, food and drink. If these were offered to him, he should accept them. So food, clothes, medicine, drinks. That is offering you can make to the Sangha, ordained monks. And in the old days, they don't even give any money. and they don't even accept money. So that's the very reason, the wrong offering. If it's really not for good purposes, the main ordinary between the practitioners there should be food and drink given, desiring to live happily. If the mendicant is keen to look into into this, should rely upon abode and bedding. Yeah, he should just look for a small, simple abode. Abode means shelter, and a bedding, like a snake living inside the mouse nest. Snake doesn't want anything but just somewhere to curl in. If he can live like a snake or bird, there's a lot to learn. They hardly save anything for themselves. There's hardly, all the animals are completely contented. Sadhujimala, yeah. Kade devar tsöndeshi gejon dela tandena chiwe kono ruta nezoda nyamaji. Kade devar tsöndeshi gejon dela tandena ngengun tsamji choshishi chojik boy gombarcha. Yeah, so it's desiring to live happily. If the mendicant is keen to look into this, means look into the respect, look into the practice of respect, should meditate on just one dharma and contented with his meager necessities. Yeah, contented with the meager necessities. And then the person who doesn't have many necessities, who doesn't want many necessities, who's contented with the simple things, is the one who you should respect. That respect is not status, not titles, but his contentment, his simplicity. Then people will find joy, true joy, desiring to live happily. The happiness comes from the mind of the person who is resorting to simplicity and basic necessities. So the mendicant, the practitioner, should look into this, how to, not so much how good is my practice, how my meditation is, but how lesser my desire is, how lesser my discontentment is, how less ill will I have, how less covetousness I have. Then his practice has already done the job. He's lessening his ill will. He's delighted by lack of ill will, more than suffering because people don't respect him or something. Even if people don't respect you, that's good. If you have no ill will for them, it's even better. See, lack of ill will is towards others who disrespect you is much better than you have their respect and you think you deserve it, and then you think you're happy because a lot of people respect you. It's good to have some people don't respect you. Then test truly comes, whether you still maintain your goodness and still have no harboring ill will towards them and saying, oh, I must have upset them because I have so many karma, so many afflictions. Of course it's my fault, poor thing. And still sending them loving kindness. Then it is good. Then it's good. Then it's good. This is not just between being a monk, monk or nun. This could be just says somebody really resent you, they really don't like you. You, instead of being annoyed by it and upset by it, upset by it, saying, sure, I'm a deluded person. I do a lot of things wrong. I'm not skillful. I'm not enlightened. I have a lot of problems. Hopefully, the suffering will be allayed. My little misgivings will be purified by my humility to acknowledge my own faults. And then one is not developing ill will. There's no ill will. There's no ill will. That's amazing. There's no resentment that somebody does that. You still think, it is actually great thing for me. Content with small things, but not seeking worldly gains and respect and honor and all of that. So that's one who's needing respect is a problem. One who already who actually is cautious about respect. It will ruin me if I'm not careful. It can turn me into reckless if I'm not already one. then you are growing a person, you know. Then you really are your practice is happening. It's amazing. Practice is happening now. There's amazing shift in the mind. Instead of developing, I deserve respect, I've done this, many things, and you still don't respect me. You know, there's almost like greedy, you know. The greed. His greed is more. Oh, I did this many years, I have done this, still people don't care about me, that kind of. Doesn't show any sign that you did any good. You're so needy of acknowledgement. But even people don't think that you have done anything, it's very good for you. You probably have messed up many things than done anything good. If people treat you, that'll test you really, whether you really have some decency. Not. See? It's a very important topic. When I was translating this, I was first thinking, what was it, you know? Then I was thinking, oh gosh, you know, it's so important not to get enchanted by respect and tenderness from other people and think then one is happy because they respect me, you know? You know, if it's people respecting us is their kindness, but do we deserve it? That's very important. Do we deserve it? Their kindness, they're generous, they're very, very pure person, pure vision. But do I really deserve it? Then we're not reckless. Then we're not reckless with the respect people show. Respect people show. And we know that, in the Lojong people says, you know, be the better of the two witnesses, you know. Other people witness a few things on the surface only, you know. When people talk nice things, they think you're great, you know. Even though you have many faults, they don't talk about it, you know. Even if some people complain about you and they heard that, and then they also think you're bad. And yeah, sure. Be the better of the two witnesses, meaning you are the true witness. Be honestly look into yourself, you know. You know, do you deserve those praise, or do you should accept those blames? You know? And then we are heeding. Then we are really heeding to this teaching here. Even if they're not learned in many things, if moral disciplines observed properly, those who know this and have pure livelihood are praised, saying they are not lazy. You know, they are not lazy because people can, even the person is not learned in many things, yeah. But how he conduct himself is very disciplined. Those who know this are living right livelihood, and because you are not lazy, and people have reason to praise you. But when you're very diligent, people praise you. They only notice when you're diligent. They don't notice when you're lazy. Because when you're diligent, you wanted to seem to be doing things, you know. Well, it naturally appears someone is doing something because they're doing something. So, being praised by saying that you are not lazy, you are very diligent, you know. But we can't handle our criticism saying that you are lazy, you know. And they might be right, you know. Most of the time they don't see you doing much. So they're actually correct. They're actually correct that you don't do very much because they don't see you doing much. So actually very factual. Yeah. Kalde chida nyamjepe samerik basum dena lumbuchi amihibe samne hela chayang la. If they possess knowledges to vanquish the Lord of Death, now this is talking about a practitioner, yeah? The practitioner who has a great sets of knowledge, uncontaminated knowledge, yeah, uncontaminated knowledge. It may be allowed to laugh and chide, thinking the fool knows nothing, even if you know quite a few things, and somebody just treat you as you don't know nothing. Are you new here? Yes, I'm new here. So to see, yeah, it's like that. If people treat you as you do know nothing, but you actually know quite a few things. Very interesting. People say, "Oh, he doesn't know anything about me." I'm professor. I have double degree. I'm expert in this, I'm expert in that. All of a sudden, person becomes very conscious of who they are, and one is really worried. He doesn't know anything the goodness that you do. So we become very needy of this recognition. It's not good enough as one is, but one needs other people to let you know. They should know about me. They should know about my knowledge. People think that you do know nothing, and it may be allowed to laugh and chide. People may laugh at you, say he doesn't know anything, and you act like a foolish. Even you know a few things, but you just see that how easy it is to receive a chide and laugh by people. So that will test you whether how needy and greedy you are for respect. This doesn't mean about intellectual knowledge. This could be just you and your husband or wife talking. Oh, you know nothing. Sometimes they say that, as usual, you know nothing. It just hurt your pride, and you don't feel good when they say that. You're so stupid. Yeah, maybe it's a good idea that we do hear those comments every now and then. You're so stupid as usual. Then we think, it's terrible, I know so much. And they call me stupid. We want them to know how much we are good at. And they seem to know nothing that we are good at. The only thing to know, we know nothing. See the pride and ego issue is so delicate, so delicate. It says it's okay for them to laugh at you and chide you, saying that you know nothing, and it's really good for your ego, and it's good because then you're not really, you have to be comfortable in your own skin. If you're not comfortable in your own skin, you need someone else to paint a nice color on it. Then you're comfortable with it. Oh yeah, thank you very much. You're so generous. And then we feel really good because they're painting of you to the people, what they expect to. You feel so good. So that, why do we have to look after our face when somebody can do the painting? I don't know why people like face painting sometimes. Face painting. It's a paint job mostly, yeah. Mostly, yeah. So it'd be challenging for people to know whether, they usually say in Tibetan, meaning the one who loves you speaks not nice to you. They usually speak fairly critically to you. They don't mean it, They don't really mean it. So we remember that, then we don't mind. Because he or she just say frustrated by some other things. They say that they really don't mean it. And a lot of grown-up couples like that, They have the good merit to understand each other. He says these things, but you don't mind because he does many good things to you than bad things. And it doesn't upset you, it doesn't, it doesn't suit your wrong button on, so to speak. Because you are understanding how dangerous it is to be attached to respect and self-goodness. goodness of self, always thinking how good I am, how deserving I am, how they should love me, how they should speak to me. I mean, if they speak like that to others, you will rejoice, you know. If somebody spoke critically to somebody that you don't like, you feel good. Oh, I'm glad he said that to him. You know, so when we are not in a good space, people think like that, you know. You wish someone else would speak like that too. Then at least you feel you don't have to do the dirty job. Somebody else did that. There's a lot of that goes on in interpersonal relationships. They talk about object of hostility coming from, you know, somebody's grievances expressed to somebody. Then you sort of second that in your mind. You're really happy they spoke harshly to him. And one thinks that one should be delighted by that. So that shows not about truthfulness of what person is critically saying, but how much ill will we have towards the other person ourselves. So that's quite a revelation, really. That's a bad news for us. But if we see anybody as a practitioner, if anybody speak very harshly to somebody, you feel compassionate to both of them. You know, whether it's really fact or fiction, that someone has to say that much harshly to somebody, it's just awful. You feel so sorry. You wish they could be a bit kinder towards each other, and they don't perceive that way. If you do that, then you're not taking side. Then you don't do comfort in other people's misery, because person who's speaking harshly isn't in a great space, can't be. And the person who's, you know, very resentfully spoken to, you can see it's so harmful. And so how could we as an onlooker draw happiness from somebody's misery? Now that's also talk about ego being biased too, for the sake of, or resentful against someone one doesn't like. So it's amazing how these things can reveal our kind of our position, whether how precarious they are, how reckless they are. Even though they didn't speak harshly to you, you feel good. When they speak harshly about him, you feel very safe. You know? Oh, at least it's not me. Oh, I'm glad, you know. See, I'm not that bad like him. They should know better. I'm glad somebody voicing this. We have this kind of attitude. It straight away reveals, you know, it's only, you know, we could be next. We could be next. Later on we feel like like reading these teachings, we say, oh gosh, you know, and then we don't need anybody to speak harshly to others. We ourselves feel, I think that I'm only not blameworthy at all. Do I have no faults at all? And if somebody spoke to me like that, you know, if I get really hurt, if some third person rejoices, oh, what would you make it? Then double trouble, you know. Not only the person who said is hurting, but somebody who is acknowledging that and thinking that's agreeable or something. It's just like knife is already in your heart, they're still stirring. Yeah, it's like their words are very, very harmful. Their negative words are very, very harmful. It says, "Kansa dikpe chojen la kalde sadan tungwa nyedang nyebatadan deyin teladage chobache." Yeah, this is talk. Those who live a sinful way, if and when they find things to eat and drink, they take pleasure in such things. So this is really talking about people whose happiness is only with food and drink. You know, they think the thing they eat and drink, and they. I mean, it doesn't mean one shouldn't rejoice others' kindness and appreciate the food and so on, but means that one's pleasure shouldn't be in these things. These things are just survival. That's why when we say the grace, we should think like that. Nagarjuna said, "Kase mentandawa requires knowing this food as a medicine. I should resort to this without greed, aggression, and ignorance. It is not for purpose of me looking, you know, to be I'm very rich, therefore can I eat this much, or I can afford this kind of restaurant, I can afford this kind of meal. One shouldn't be bloating one's ego, feel important. Just one, Sashimala Lunenba is simply to sustain this body. So with this in mind, one should eat the food, saying the grace, Nagarjuna said that, amazing, seeing the food as a medicine, yeah. If we don't eat food, we will die. Therefore it's medicine. So it shouldn't be a kind of something to eat, pick and choose what I want, what I don't want, that sort of thing. Of course, mainly the food is to sustain our body so that we can practice Dharma and be of use to each other. Not so much that I can afford this, therefore I'm wealthy, therefore I'm important, and so on. If one eats with such a desire and ordinary pleasure, and always thinking of food all the time, and when one gets a good food, then one is happy, otherwise one is not. So it's talking about those who live a sinful way, and elsewhere, some commentator says the same thing. People who live on charity of other people, always fed by other people, always make comment whether the food was delicious or not delicious, or good or bad or poor. He says that's very, very ungraceful. You may have said some grace before you ate, but after you think like that, it's very ungraceful to make comment how the food was bad quality or not this or not that. So the childish with shaven heads, who wear maroon robes, find food, drinks, clothes, and bedding, may end up with just as many enemies. This is talking about the charitableness of the people in the monastic community in Asia and Buddhist community particularly. Some don't even touch the dishes. They're not allowed to touch the dish. They cannot cook. They're not allowed to cook. And they almost the culture does that. Culture actually doesn't allow that. In many ways, it's good because it's a respect to those who live a very ordained monk and nun life, and though lay people who honor that, respect that is good. But what it's saying is they may end up with just as many enemies. Is in the long run, those lay people, devotee lay people, will be expecting some qualities, some kind of orderly qualities from honoring or supporting or ordained monk or nun who takes a lot of effort to provide food, drink, clothing, and everything, the bags and everything is provided. They never have to. Some of them get so many robes, so many bags. They don't need so many bags. They get so many bags. In Tibetan Buddhism, we have a story. One boy said he became monk because his brother's got so much more things than he has, so he also want to become monk, because at least as he become monk, he also can have those things. Whereas he, living with parents, he hasn't got any choice. Sometimes, yeah, in the Tibetan culture or Buddhist culture, which the families are fairly poor, their motivation to send the boy to become monk is mainly so that parents don't have to look after them. They don't have to sort of feed them or send them to school and can't afford a boarding school. They send them there. And that's what it's talking about. That's what we're talking about. So in the long run, this sort of thing will not, this only is a form Buddhism. This is only form Buddhism. This is just like an artificial, really. The real, may end up just as many enemies, like that, yeah. People just starting to doubt in having faith to or respect to those people who they provide. But some abbots are very good. They really tell the young monks right from the very beginning how they should be careful with the devotees' offerings and food and things, and not trying to solicit to find a sponsor or something like that. Or my brother wants a sponsor, my niece wants a sponsor, and having half a dozen sponsors, some of them. and of course, that is these people have this kind of karmic mentality, having been a refugee. suppose, Being a refugee, I've been there, I remember that, amazing, when I was in New Zealand with the Geshe, I was his translator, so I was mainly to support him, and we were both very, very comfortably. We don't have to, we have to spend nothing because we haven't got money to spend. So the food and the room and shelter were provided, and it's and they gave us $100 every month. That is our wage. And I thought that was really generous because I've never received any wages. And then my friend Geshe-la said, when we go hither and thither different places, at the end of the teaching, he wanted me to translate this thing, he's always soliciting money. He says, I got 30 monks who in studying in India and they have nothing and so on. And some of them are true as well, but we don't have to use such platform all the time. And the first few times I translated him out of respect to him, and some of the story is true. And then later I can see that it's not going very well to lots of people, very well, There will be some people who will do that on, voluntarily themselves, ask. But if you keep saying that, and each teaching saying, it just looks very, very odd. So I had to tell him one day, I said, Vishal, I'm not going to translate that thing you do at the end of teachings. It looks so bad, I said, we are just in a completely new non-Buddhist community. And people are just showing little interest in Dharma, and they all have to pay to get in this room. They already have paid. They're just very new. They just want to learn something spiritual. And each time we come, we just talk the money all the time. You do this, I said, I'm not your translator to do these things. I said, I won't translate this. You just translate teachings, I'll translate, but not this soliciting thing. He says, oh, you're stupid. This excellent opportunity. This is we are in the West. Because everybody thinks that people in the West got lots of money. In many ways, $20 here is like 6,000 rupees or something. So it's true, But you can't do that every day. Oh, a lot of them do that all the time. And when I go to some of the boys got 3 or 4 sponsors, not just one. And they don't realize their sponsors are working very hard. Like we have some people in our community, they always send money, But how deserving of the people are they? That's what we're really talking about, Talking about, in the end, people have aversion to that, aversion to those who they have been giving. Tetar kurte jikchen kyonam kondo chujene tenyun semtra kyunesu tende gelon kundu use. Now, having comprehended the frightening faults associated with respect. And it's talking about how it's almost like it's like a trap. It's like a trap you can fall. That's called Wali Dharma. It looks very good, but you can get trapped into this, thinking you deserve it. So, having comprehended the frightening faults associated with respect, the all-informed mindful monk renounced all mental anxiety and peril. So it's talking about realizing all these faults. This is, of course, particularly talking with monks, because Buddha was mainly addressing to his disciples. There are many rules in the Vinaya how the monks should be contented and should not be shouldn't have like food. Also, they say one-seat eaters. they shouldn't have second helpings. If they didn't get enough on the one helping, they should just not eat anymore. That's one training, you know. so that's just food, you know. In these cases, even more. This is more subtle, you know. You never know you're having second or third helpings. You're always needing of the respect. If people don't respect you, you know, then you think that they're failing their duty or something. If a person is that, you can see frighteningly dangerous to do with the respect. The all-informed mindful monk, yeah, all-informed mindful practitioner, you know, renounces all anxiety. Yeah, say somebody doesn't love you, or don't say nice things to you. You shouldn't worry about that. You shouldn't think they don't love me or they hate me. If they hate you, you should feel compassion to them. Instead of saying, what did I do that they have to be angry at me? I didn't do anything. They should be that angry. Then they become very anxious, you know. And then they think suspicious. Oh, he's also thinking about same about me. They have to go in together. They're all in the same group. Then the person becomes so anxious, you know. You could never stay calm and peaceful when you're needing to have this ego grasping, seeking so much respect from others. That's what it's talking about. The mental anxiety and peril, yeah? Yeah, it will just ruin you. And yeah, people have things, but they're so unhappy because somebody appears to be unhappy with them. People are always miserable. It doesn't have to be your existence. It's not our existence that they are miserable. They may say, express their misery to us, but that doesn't really say anything about us. We can predispose very kindly to them. Or, you know, maybe I haven't been skillful. Maybe I have been very unthoughtful. Whether I was or not, now I should be thoughtful to not escalate these persons' dislike of me, or maybe they don't really dislike me. It's my perception, thinking I need so much respect, and that's the reason, you know, people doesn't like me anymore. So then one has anxiety. One doesn't feel secure. One doesn't feel I'm a part of this place. One feels I shouldn't be here, because one has anxiety that not enough likes me. It's amazing. Yeah. The one who's mindful, who's informed, should renounce those such anxieties. Should not have this neediness to be always loved and praising and always gracious to you, even if they are not. Who want to take the trouble to be rude to you if they haven't got a serious problem? They have serious problem. Whether it's to do you with you or not is completely, totally different question. To the fact that they are already in that miserable demonio is already a cause of compassion. See? Then we are mindful, isn't it? Then we are mindful. We are not angry that they're angry at us or whatever. We are very compassionate that they are like that, because they have been very kind to you. Most of the time they're very kind, courteous to you. Why does he or she do like that? You know, I should be the first one to take blame and accept blames. I should be the first one to comfort them and not react to them, not show aggression to them. Then we are renouncing anxiety, because we are not creating one. The fact that they are miserable or they're angry or they're critical or they're negative towards us is because they care for us. They put a lot of time and effort to our benefit. And when they have their own sort of share of karma and not sufficient dharma to support them, then they will show little sign of difficulties. They are sentient beings. So instead of feeling insecure about oneself, one should feel about, how about them? I should now give some time to calm down and then attend kindly to them. See, then we are renouncing anxiety. We are cultivating concern. You see, empathy is much more powerful than anxiety. Anxiety just makes you namdo dalang kangdong kuma in Tibetan. It says that the person who's anxious and doubtful turns all his anxiety into enemies, and he finds everything in the empty room got stolen. There's nothing in the room to steal, but he thinks everything's been stolen. Because he's got only an empty room, but he thinks everything in his room has been stolen. So just exaggerate. So how not to be anxious? People who have anxiety is all needy. All they want to be loved, they want to be praised, they want to be, respected, they want to be all these things. These are the problem. Anxiety is mainly caused by neediness to be respected and selfishness. And that's exactly why Buddha said, reckless is destroyed by respect. Because when he doesn't get respect, then he starts to worry. So his anxiety and worry come from self-grasping, not because of anything. So we need to comprehend. See this verse number 14. Having comprehended the frightening faults associated with respect. People who respect do not intend to ruin us. Do not intend to. But the Buddha said, respect is one of the 8 worldly traps. They call 8 worldly traps. And respect is a trap. It doesn't mean we shouldn't respect others to put a trap to others. Our intention is not, If we are respecting others, probably this is some best thing, we are in a good form. Often we don't even show that, Showing respect is better than being disrespectful. But it's being not attached to respect is better than not having respect. Isn't it? One who's needing and greedy for respect is looking for trouble. So no respect is good. Maybe disrespect is good for you. Because then you don't get attached to good disrespect. At least when they disrespect us, maybe they know something I'm not doing right. And then instead of anxiety, it informs us. because we don't see our fault very easily. We don't see our fault because our eyes are designed not to look inside. It's all bulging out there, looking for out there. We have a saying, to look at your face, you need a mirror. To look at people's fault, you don't need the mirror. How's that? So why we have to use the mirror to look at our face? It's because we cannot even see our face, let alone our faults. But at least someone is looking from his eyes for us. Oh, you said, thank you. I didn't see that. Oh, there's a red dot here. Okay, red dot. Thank you. Oh, there's a fault in here. Selfish. Okay. That's very good. They can see very clearly. It's just like you put a dress or something, and then you realize your dress is coming off here, or whether somebody's seeing it, but you can't see. It's like that. So some people don't want to point us, not because to harm us, but to alert us. So we have to say thank you. That's what in the Lojong Peace says. Accept blames of other people. It will never make you more wrong by accepting the blame. It straight away de-escalate the wrong, if there is one, from your side. If the very problem that person has to say that you're wrong, as soon as you accept, it's calmed down straight away. See? It's amazing, This is this exactly opposite of respect. Disrespect looks like they are very disrespectful or discourteous to you, but who would take that kind of trouble to do that unless there's something really is problematic? So give them a benefit of doubt. And see, we have no anxiety, because what don't you don't see them. You don't think it's their problem. Maybe they're trying to help me. Thank you. Where is it? Oh, it's here. Okay. Yeah, it's good. Oh, no, it's under the. Oh, yeah, it's over here. It's good. Yeah, we can't see even our face, let alone our mind and our attitudes. Because our attitudes are very obviously seen by people. You know, people really are good at reading other people's attitude, not good at reading their own attitude. So we need a couple of advisors around us, you know. They're called minders or advisors. They really are telling the chairman, oh, you shouldn't have said that, oh, you should say this, oh, you should say this. Oh, didn't I say that? No, you shouldn't have said that. That's what people need, not an advisor, because the advisors are self-critics and paid by the person, you know, paid by the person to be his own critic, to be his own advisors or minders, they call it. And you know what those people do? As soon as they finish the presentation, go in the room, they're all talking about how he performed or didn't perform. And often it is the good one is always critical. No, you shouldn't have said that, Mr. President. Oh, you shouldn't have said it. Oh, you should say this. Now, if you are not really taking any advice, any criticism, you would not deserve any respect. So any criticism is good because the fault associated with respect is more frightening than with disrespect. They never say the fault associated with disrespect. There's no chapter on the fault of disrespect. So there must be something, you know, reading between the lines, you know. Yeah. Otherwise, renounce all mental, if you're informed and mindful, you will renounce all mental anxiety and peril. Otherwise, not. You'll be stuck, you will attack and are stuck in the neediness of respect. Yeah. Kamji segi, simshi minjuriyan, sovan disir misa mijade, kazekini luda negyoba, tedar tolas, sonyom dale gyu. Although mouthful of food does not calm the mind, sometimes does, I think. One cannot afford not to eat for this life. So it's amazing. They're saying something here. The food sustains the body to survive. Knowing this, one lives on. One lives on to get alms. So what it's talking about here is, you know, the food actually simply sustains the body, and you need to live on it, particularly if you are mendicant living on the alms of other people. And also, you cannot afford not to eat for this life. You can't say, I won't eat for this life and start living for next life. You still have to eat even for next life. In this life, when you're born next life, you can't say, I ate last life and I don't need to eat. So you still will have to eat. So you can't say that you're not worthy of respect or being fed. You know, that's what it's talking about. Yeah. So not feeding yourself is pretty disrespectful for your own body. Yeah? Food sustains the body, but you're being fed to sustain your mind. So it's talking about, you know, if you're respectfully fed by other people, then you don't have to go out, get it, like you don't have to cultivate rice in the field, or winnow the rice, or carry on your back, or whatever. You just get provided a particular. You know, Buddha is talking to his congregation of the monks. You know, he says this food. You know, knowing this, you should still rely on food, but the fact that you do receive food, from the devotees, you should live on alms, but to cultivate humility, not because you are respectable. So it's more humility, cause of humility rather than one's respectability. Amazing kind of fine line between these two, you know, like bliss and pain. So humility is really the blissful one. The respect is the painful one, because it's full of traps, problems. Yeah. Respect is not a trouble, and humility is the blissful one. Blissful one. And the blissful one is receives the alms, but still, because to receive alms is amazingly hard to do. You know, if you have to go to beg alms, it's amazing understanding. And you have to do it. Either you are honoring the discipleship of the Buddha, or you're too poor, or you have your children hungry and you have nothing to eat. You have to have such three extreme reasons to beg. Either you're hungry and nothing to eat, which was my case when I was young, and when my mother was saying, "You go first, you go." She's so cute. Of course, she means very well. You know, I started. I think maybe I can go and get some house, because there's no doorbells in those villages, you know? And you don't need doorbell. The dogs will go after you. So yes, it's often, you know, some of the dogs are let loose. They straight away come to attack you. You're just an 11-year-old boy, you know. With your 7-year-old sister and trying to get some food, you know. So you got to be really desperate to beg, you know, and otherwise parents wouldn't send you and you wouldn't go. Even if parents ask you, say, if one of your children, you ask your children to go back, they will not beg it, because there's no need. But if they know your parents are poor and hungry and themselves, you know, can't move or hungry, and they will go and beg. You wouldn't believe for survival people will do anything for begging alms because they're hungry. So one begs for because they're hungry, you know. Other begs for because they wanted to feed the hungry children or mother or parents. And the third one, monks beg for humility, because they have given up any possession and attachment, and that's amazing. I mean, the culture of that is the idea of that is amazing. And a lot of Hindu monks really live like that. They really don't have bed. They really haven't got a decent shelter. Not because they can't afford, but they would not use it. You can see, just huddled up with little blankets on the corners of the street. Just the sheer devotion, humility that I sit there. You know, they have wealthy relatives, they have wealthy devotees. Anyone will offer the comfortable place to stay. They refuse. They refuse to accept. And that is the case in quite a lot of wandering yogis in Tibet. But most of the high lamas and people in the monastery who have very high names, respectful, they don't do that. They can't travel in caravans, 30, 40 mules. Very, it's like a royal kind of caravan passing. And quite amazing. You never know who's a practitioner when you look at that. And so what he's talking about is, if you are begging with humility, you're not only saying, you're not begging because you're too poor to feed yourself. It's called word bhikkhu, means solicitor of the virtue. Bhikkhu means you're soliciting virtue for the lay people or others to make virtue by your humility. Because they give you, and not so much you lack, you're hungry, because you are making them to contact with the Sangha, which is the Buddha Dharma's practitioner. So you are trying to make people to meet the Dharma through your humility. So they are basically soliciting virtue through their humility because of the blessed teachings of the Buddha, so they get to know the Dharma. The purpose is not because they're hungry, purpose is so they meet Dharma. The existence of Sangha who live like that is very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. Yeah? Solicitor of virtue. So if the whole alms begging culture and practice is maintained, you know, that is the reason. That is the reason. That's the reason. These days, of course, once a year the Tibetans gather in some prayer festival or so, and when they come, and His Holiness Karmapa is trying to initiate some kind of transformation or reformation, all the monks are made to shave very clean. Otherwise, Tibetan monks don't shave very clean. Also, weather is quite cold, so having some fur on your head is good. You don't have to buy a beanie. So, but he make everybody to shave, and then everybody have to make sleeveless, sleeveless. Bodhgaya, even Bodhgaya gets very cold, and nobody's allowed to stay in a hotel. Everybody must sleep in the tent, and he actually go and supervise how all the tents to be made properly and make sure that every, very, very amazing, and that kind of, and then he actually makes, it just looks like a culture on it. Just introduce the monks to carry the bugging ball, and then, they never have to do that even a single day in their life. But during the morning, they all go in panipada in the arms around, and all the lay people have prepare all the food and this, just for the sake of the wonderful tradition of living with the humility and simplicity. That's real respect, because not because they can't earn, not because they can't get, because they rather choose with heart desire and with heart choice, with simplicity. They make the best choice. Choice is simplicity, safest choice. That's what it's talking about. Riki chaje shoba kainde sumutama yumur kawade mesoka kurte kainde damdan rawar the topically says. This honor offered by human race is painful, spiteful, and is hard to give up. Means people who offer the honor, respect to each other, and they have quite a lot of people have the need. They want someone worthy to pay respect to, offer to, and they would do anything, because they don't see such people very often, so to speak. And so it's painful, because the person who is giving those things, they have karmic guilt in their mind, that they haven't been generous, so they want to give someone worthy. Then at least their sweat and tear of life's earning will not be wasted. So all their long lives, past difficulties and pains they have gone through, they dare not to use or eat for themselves, or they give, and which is really suffering, really result of suffering. And spiteful means when you receive offering, others resent it, and others spite, others wish they got it, and so on. And you can never be sure that you should be such a recipient or not. And because as soon as you receive, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. And yet it's hard to give up. Because it's very, very good, amazing thing is the person, as soon as they give, they get a meaningful function from the ephemeral material possession that they usually do not get a lot of benefit from. So nobody can give up giving, because giving is very, very makes people feel happy that they can make someone's cause or someone's happiness possible through their empowering them to give. So everybody wanted to make a difference. So because of that, it's very hard to give up from the giver's point of view, and the recipient's point of view. They might even think wrongly, just think, I deserve it, Oh, this is about time people gave for me this, and almost like no appreciation, but almost like it's their right to get, their right to have. So there's a lot of what do you call that? Lots of faults associated with receiving. Faults associated with receiving, of course. It doesn't have, the intention of the giver is completely different. That's totally different. But as soon as you receive something, we have a huge pain and responsibility what to do. But yet, if you don't receive, you can't do anything. So you can't give up receiving. So you can't give up receiving or asking for that worse. For that matter, you have to give. Yeah, best if everybody slept in a thatcher roof house, and then no need. This irresistible honor offered by human should be understood to be like a quagmire. It's just irresistible honor offered by human. So respect has to be treated very carefully and cautiously, not to disregard people's generosity and so on. It's talking about what's my intention. Do I receive this with a great sense of non-appreciation, or still judging what people gave, what people didn't give? Yeah, that's right. It could completely make you in a very difficult place all of a sudden if you're not very careful. So that is talking about irresistible honor. Yeah, as soon as someone gives you some respect and honor, you have even more higher reason, bigger reason to live up to it, worthy of it. That's what it's talking about. And yet it is so inspiring when people does that. Even one may be less than worthy to receive it, one still likes to receive again. So it's hard to give up. Hard to give up. Because quagmire means when you start, it's very difficult to get out. Very difficult to get out. Very difficult to get out. And simplicity is not a quagmire. Humility is not a quagmire. But neediness to be receiving and respected is a quagmire, because emotionally and intellectually and morally it's full of problems if one doesn't have the wisdom. And there's a story about Drogmin Lotsawa, one of the early Lamde masters. He was quite demanding. He used to tell his devotees or would-be devotees or disciples, when they ask for teaching, he says, yes, but bring gold. So he wouldn't give any teaching unless they brought gold. And so people would go back home in the villages and try to find gold. And if they gave gold, and he gave the teachings. He was doing that quite a lot of time. And he was very tight with his teachings, whether he allowed them or what he gave, what he didn't give. He seemed to be giving only those who gave him lots of gold, and otherwise he's rejecting those who actually come. So it said that one day, and so after this while, one day his wife complained him. There was usually those people who come to seek his teachings are pretty poor. They haven't got anything to offer. They just came to offer their devotion and respect and ask teachings because they really want the teachings. And then he said, no, unless you bring gold, I don't give teachings. So he sent them back. And his wife used to think, gosh, so difficult, this is so hard. And they will go disappear for months and months and months. After a while, they'd bring some animals or yaks or gold. After a lot of soliciting, these things come. And one day, there came a very wealthy man. A wealthy man with a lot of things. He's well known to be very wealthy, and he come for teachings, and then Romi just refused totally. He says, no, I don't want you. Go away. Then his wife complained. He says, last time you always want people with things to bring. He's got a lot of things. Why do you reject him? And he said, no, last time I didn't ask this because I need gold. But I'm just checking whether these people got real devotion or not. Mm. He says, this time this guy is using his money to sort of bribe me to give teachings. I have no need for any money at all, right from the very beginning. So this is the biography. So even people who are close by can sometimes read these things, and then misunderstand, oh, he's greedy, or oh, he's really choosy or picky or whatever. But Romi also said, now that I've given all my teachings to the would-be successors, I don't need for a disciple anymore. So I'm not needing to check their worthiness or whatever, but I know this person is definitely not my type of person. So that's why I refuse. So there's stories like that. So I think there are, of course, there such realized masters, of course, can do that because they are realized. But often, what this chapter is all talking about is that respect, while encouraged for us to practice, when you are the recipient of respect, you have to be very careful. If it doesn't promote your humility and gratitude and yeah, that, but it really makes you feel worthy or arrogant and get attached to, or then of course that's why it is impregnated with so much fault. I think there's some relevant points that you and I can relate to as well. Thank you.